Welcome to Construction Junkies coverage of Groundbreak 2020, Procore's annual construction technology conference. My name is Shane, and right now I am joined by Sean Urjabek, the Chief Revenue Officer for Bridgit. Hey, Sean, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Shane.
Yeah, so first I want to get into, construction technology is still fairly new in the industry relative to other industries. So I always like to get the background of construction technology companies. So how did Bridgit get started, and what kind of problems were you originally trying to focus on?
Yeah, sure. So Bridget's, our roots date back to 2014 when our two co-founders, Mallory and Lauren, were actually in school looking at the construction landscape, trying to solve, I guess a problem that existed in the marketplace. Both of them come from a construction background. In speaking with clients and so on, the first solution that we did introduce was a punch list and QA/QC tool. So that was, looked at back in 2014. We brought that to market. We've had hundreds/thousands of clients use us for that specific solution. So that has definitely scaled nicely. As part of that, journey, we started speaking with clients back in probably 2017, 2018 on kind of other problems that we could solve. And this whole, notion or thought around resource planning and workforce management came up. As part of that research, we were exposed to, a lot of different processes, spreadsheets. Clients provided us with their spreadsheets. So with this tool, Bridgit Bench, the resource planning solution, it was built from the ground up, in collaboration with a number of GCs across the country. We launched this tool back, 18 months ago, and it's definitely scaled quite nicely for us. We work with large E&R companies, we work with regional clients and so on, but that's essentially the root. So we have been in construction tech for a couple of years now, or a few years rather, the biggest problem we're looking to solve right now is around optimizing workforce planning for GCs.
Okay, so Bridgit Bench is the newer product, and basically it shows you who you have on your staff, when they're available, and you can kind of easily move them around to different projects and really see where you have gaps, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say most clients, virtually all clients that we speak to, are trying to manage this via Excel. It works. It just doesn't scale very effectively. So what our tool essentially does is it brings people data and project data together. So you've got a holistic view of all your people, their skills, their experience, their availability, and so on. So you're able to match people to jobs very, very effectively based on not only when are they available, but what skill sets, what experience do I require. Very, very visual in terms of Gantt views, list views, dashboards. Clients use our tool to plan for unfilled roles. But again, it's really, taking disparate or fragmented spreadsheets that exist with companies and bringing all that into one tool for better visualization.
Yeah, so we obviously talk a lot about workforce labor shortages in construction, but I think what gets lost in all that is proper management of the resources that you already have. So I imagine that there's some benefits that can be gained from visually seeing exactly when people are free and who's on the bench, as you'd call it, who's ready to go, and where you fit in more projects with the people you have available.
Yeah, exactly. Like our tool tracks, what is the utilization of your people. You can look at that from a visual perspective, month over month, quarter over quarter, and so on. You can take a look to see when can you plug in, jobs. If your project dates shift, what's the impact of the existing resources? Like, is there overlap? Do you need more people, and so on? So, we show capacity very, very easily. We're able to see what roles might be required in the next, 12 months based on, different pursuits that you got, that a company might be chasing. But yeah, it very much, provides a very clear indication as to, what projects need people, what people need projects, and so on.
And have you seen any shift in how Bridgit's being used during this ongoing pandemic that we're been a
Yeah,
part of for 6 months?
Obviously, we were a little nervous back in March, just like I'm sure a lot of other companies were. But we've seen, in terms of our business scaling, we've continued to scale during this period quite nicely. But it's interesting with our clients themselves, we've seen increased usage. So where historically clients would work in an office environment and they would have Excel spreadsheets, etc. With this world where people had to go remote very very quickly, our cloud-based tool did help. So it allowed for more people to collaborate via real-time, I guess, tool or platform. We saw a lot of people having to shift dates, or a lot of clients. So, this project's now going to get shifted by X period. So us being able to kind of, change those dates very easily on the fly to see what the impact of their business would look like. Our tools being used that way. Custom fields. So we had everything from, additional custom fields like, this site is COVID impacted, or these individuals are COVID impacted, and so on. So we saw a lot more customization of our system. So I'd say we saw increased usage, increased customization in terms of the data they're capturing, and just better collaboration and being able to make business decisions based on kind of the market reality.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you brought up. But with all the delays and cancellations and project shifting, that could be a total nightmare for managing workforce.
Exactly.
And where's your superintendent going to go, or your project manager is going to go? So being able to see visually, where people are, and projects that got canceled, now this person's free, and now we can go over here, and so forth and so on. And
Exactly. So
that's,
there's a lot of like what ifs. Well, not only what if, but actual reality. So here's my reality now. So being able to shift people to new jobs, based on the best skill set, experience, and so on. So we saw a lot of that for sure.
so can we see a little bit of what it looks like? And
Yeah, so on the tool, we wanted to design this for simplicity. So there are really 4 core areas to the solution. One is my people, my projects, my setting, and my dashboard view. So the first thing I just want to talk about is the settings. The tool is very, very configurable. So, each client can configure the data that they want in. So again, keep in mind that we bring people and project data together in one centralized, I guess, database or tool. So, on the people side, we're able to, understand, the name, the individual, and so on. But then you're able to customize this on a per company basis. So what information is important to you? Whether I want to track, certifications, the willingness to relocate, what is their market sector experience, do they belong to a specific region, et cetera. So you can create different custom fields, based on, type of information you want to capture on your people. If there are different custom fields, you're able to understand, hey, what are the different work groups that my company has? What are the different regions that I have? What's the market sector experience? As I indicated, we did have, on the people side, are they active, or are they in quarantine? Are they working from home? So the idea here is to bring in as much people data as you want. This can come from Excel spreadsheets, it can come from an HRIS system, so it's very, very flexible. On the project side, pretty much the same thing. So we track, baseline information such as your project name, start and end date. But then on a project basis, like what information do you want readily available? So you might want to understand who's the owner, what market is it in, what's the region, what's the revenue of this? Is it a forecasted job or a pursuit is an active job, and so on. So you're able to bring that information. We've got different permission sets, account settings, and so on within the tool itself. So that just, the ability for us to customize. Clients will use this as a standalone, but a lot of our clients will also use this as a fully integrated solution. So with Procore specifically, we do have the embedded iframe experience. We're able to bring Procore data into our system as well, just to make it more efficient. So that's the initial settings of the tool.
yeah.
On the people side, we have a view of both people as well as Gantt views. So on my people view here, I can take a look at things like, what information do I want to set? So I want to see their name, their title, their current project, market sector experience. So whatever the data set is that we bring into the system, people can actually show, I guess, set their preferences in terms of the information they want to see. If I'm, in a planning meeting, for instance, I may want to say, hey, I need to see all my site supers. So I'll take a look at all my site supers here. I want to see people who are available, in the next, 3 months for a job. And I want to see people who are based in the South region. And finally, I want to apply one more filter, people that have educational experience. So very quickly, I'm able to apply these different filters to say, hey, show me all my supers who are available in the next 3 months. in this region with this market sector experience. Whatever the filters that I create, I can report on. So if you want a hard copy report, either in CSV or PDF, you can do that. If I want to take a look at the details of an individual, I simply click on Chase Larson, for instance, and I've got a really rich data set on Chase. So not only can I see Chase's existing jobs, so what is the active job he's on, I can see his upcoming jobs, and I can also track all his project history. So as a client is taking on more jobs, they can very easily understand who are the best people for that job based on their historical project experience. We also track, things like dates, if you've got unavailability based on, let's say, vacation, maternity leave, military leave, we can plug that in so that can block out. We've got details of the individuals. So again, whatever information you might want to bring into our solution, again, you can very quickly understand that data. So again, it really is bringing this rich data set of your people into this view. From a capacity perspective, you're able to see kind of who can take on work, who has too little work. So in this case, again, if I just want to take a look at my site supers, for instance, I'll take a look at those individuals, and I can take a look to see this in a 1 month view, 3 month views, and so on. So very quickly I can say, who's on the bench. So in this case here, I've got Carrie and Christine that are on the bench. They've got the capacity to take on some work. We see Mackenzie down here is actually 50% allocated to a job, so we can allocate her to another job. We can see over allocations and so on. So this really shows me capacity, and I can look forward thinking, say, hey, what does my world look like come, January of next year, etc. So this is just a great way to understand, what is the utilization and capacity of my people. What I'll now do is I'll go into the projects themselves. So the same idea on my projects is I can have all my projects, in our system. I can take a look at, are they active jobs? Are they upcoming jobs? I can color code the jobs. So if I want to just, for instance, look at my active jobs in construction, I can click on that, and you can see how we've just very easily color coded that as blue. If I want to see all my jobs within, commercial, I can click on commercial. And if I want to see, all jobs that have, unfilled roles, I can click that as well. So again, the same filtering applies that I did on my people. So in this case, show me all my active jobs in commercial that have unfilled roles. And I can then click on that actual project to get into those details. Some of the details I wanted to capture here were job number, who's the division manager, what's the revenue of this project. So very quick, easy view of this. Where people do spend a lot of time is in the Gantt itself. So on my Gantt initially, I can take a look to see, what does that look like? How do these jobs layer over top of one another? I can group my projects in different phases. So, in this case, I've got Lancaster Way, this one's in pre-construction during X period. It then goes into construction. It then goes into closeout. Where clients get a lot of value is really understanding the people allocations for this job. So essentially, I've got my 3 active jobs in commercial that have unfilled roles. So visually, I can see what's going on here. So 3, different use cases here. One is I can see the unfilled role for the project coordinator. If I want to click on that unfilled role, it will go into our system. And right now, I've got a very basic qualifier saying, hey, show me my project coordinators that are available. You can add more filters. So if you want to say, hey, show me all my project coordinators that have, not only they're available, but they've got a skill set of X, or they live in X city or state, I can apply those filters. But in this case, I want Chrissy Wells, to take on this job. I can click on Chrissy. So right now, very easily, I'm able to plug in Chrissy into that role. And again, I can continue doing the exact same thing for all the different roles. Another great thing is if a client is in a planning meeting and they realize they need a little more, horsepower, more individuals for this job, it's very simple for you guys to add a role. So as you're planning, you say, hey, I'm going to also need a project engineer, for instance. I'm going to need them from X date to X date, so I can actually select the dates that I want for this individual. So let's say I want them to start, October the 15th. If I put October 15th, they'll take it through to the end of the project. From an allocation perspective, you can plug them in at 50%, 100%, 25%, whatever makes sense for the business. and I can save that. So in this case, I then have created another role. In the same way I just placed Chrissy as a project coordinator, I can also place this individual. So with this view here, I can create new roles, I can place people. If you are in that planning meeting and you say, hey, the dates of this project need to shift, I can simply drag and drop that. So in this case, it's going to go from April 28th to May the 19th. I can essentially say, yep, everything needs to shift by those 2 or 3 weeks, and I can confirm that. So very intuitive that way. You know, from a refresher standpoint, let's say you're in that meeting and you quickly want to understand that project. Again, I can take a look to see what are the details of this project, you know, who's the owner, what's the value of this project, what's the industry, etc. If I want to look at dates and just shift dates based on a specific phase, as well as those allocations, I can do that as well. So this would be essentially the hub of our tool, where you can see people data, project data, you can shift dates, you can you know, add new roles, you can allocate roles, etc. So this is just a great view of, you know, the clients we use. The final area is just around dashboard views. So, you know, dashboard views here, if you're in a planning meeting, you can say, hey, you know, I've got my active jobs here, you know, what jobs need to be filled. So again, if I'm taking a look at 210 Olive Street, I can say, you know, here's an unfilled role. If I click on that job, I can fill that role right from this screen. I can also look at all my upcoming jobs. So I can start to kind of, you know, handpick people that could take on this job. And as that job either materializes or that date becomes closer, you can actually input, I guess, add those people. Unfilled roles, so a lot of HR departments will use this to understand what are the requirements for, I guess, hiring. So, you know, over the next 3 months, I'm going to need, you know, 2 site supers, a project manager, maybe another project exec, etc. So that's really, you know, just a great visualization of projects that need people, and I guess, you know, people that need work. And finally, we've also got a great forecasting tool. So from a utilization rate, what is my utilization as a company? I can break this off by region. I can break this off by different titles. So, you know, how busy are my project coordinators versus my project managers, et cetera. So clients use the utilization to understand, you know, am I running at true capacity? You know, can I take on additional work, and so on. So again, you know, a very intuitive tool. I've got great dashboard views. The expanded Gantt for my projects is just a great visualization of kind of the people and the projects being brought together, as well as my people view in terms of really understanding, you know, the experience and depth of the individuals, you know, that might need work.
I mean, it seems like it saves a lot of phone calls and meetings, just having everything in one dashboard where you can see where people are going. So I get.
Yeah, exactly. When you think of it like this, it looks simple, but there's typically literally, you know, 2 to 5 or 6 different spreadsheets that clients are maintaining. You know, if it is on Excel spreadsheets, you know, formulas break, right? Or that person is sick, and then all of a sudden you can't access the data. So it really is about transparency, increased usage, and just from a visualization, understanding exactly what does your role look like.
And you mentioned Procore briefly in there. So you do have an integration within Procore. What kind of data flows back and forth between the two programs?
I'd say like baseline, you know, people are just bringing in, let's say the company project name, start and end date. But again, you can bring in as much information from Procore as you want. So it's really mapping, you know, their data fields into our data fields. So it's really client dependent to like how rich do you want that integration to be? Do you want it to be one way where Procore is feeding Bridgit? Do you want, you know, Bridgit to maybe feed Procore as well? So I'd say there's, you know, a high degree of flexibility in terms of what that looks like. As I said, the baseline is project name, start and end date, and then from there you can kind of you know, do much more with that.
Yeah, it's just nice to be able to reduce those data redundancies, double data entry, that kind of thing. And then you're also part of the embedded app experience with Procore, where they can actually use the full version of Bridgit within Procore, so they don't have to actually leave one platform to go to another, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So how can people find more information about Bridgit?
Yeah, so you know, for the Procore conference, we are a gold sponsor, our sponsor rather, which we're super excited about. So you can come visit our virtual booth. If you're interested more in terms of Bridgit before then, you know, our website, bridgitsolutions.com. You know, just a great way to get a hold of us. But yeah, we'd be happy to speak with you either before or after the conference. With Procore specifically, about 80% of our clients are Procore clients, which is great. So there's lots and lots of validation in terms of those clients getting incremental value by implementing our tools. So whether we see you at the conference or you want to reach out to us in between, we welcome the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So like Sean mentioned, you can find Bridgit at Groundbreak, which will be held virtually on October 27th and 28th. And if you are interested in attending, I'll actually include a coupon code for $10 off registration in the description of this video below. And as always, be sure to check out constructionjunkie.com for the most interesting construction news and technology.